purring.
Ooh. Welcome back, Lelanders, to some breaking news on the Intellivision Amico saga. Now, if anyone's been following my channel, they probably know that I talk about the Intellivision Amico a lot. Probably one of the first YouTubers to do it, not to try to take credit for it, but yeah, way back in the day. I've actually been following Tommy as a fan since Electronic Playground days, so I've been basically reading his daily posts and updates well before the Amico ever came into fruition in 2018. But anyways, today's episode we'll be talking about the Ars Technica article. We'll also be talking about the latest round of fundraising. And we'll also talk about the devastating news that we heard from John Alvarado. So we'll go over his information that he's released as well. And we'll try to look at both sides of it. I know some people hate the Ars Technica articles and some people love them. So we'll try to cover both sides of it a little bit today. Not make it as one-sided as some of my previous Amico videos. Now, I always try to maintain some balance. So anyways, the big breaker that we heard in the Ars Technica article that just came out this week was on the 8th. And it's the 10th today, so a couple days ago. And yeah, the date just changed. So probably one day or probably 2 or 3 days when you're watching this. But anyways, the article came out and Amico is over $8 million in debt. And I think the only reason we found out is because the latest round of fundraising had to disclose what's happening with the company, and it's not good news. So we'll cover that in more detail. So not to try to show any copyright images, that's from Ars Technica. And this is just a fair use review. But anyways, well, we'll get into the main details from the source itself and not so much the Ars Technica article. Because some people are debating if Ars Technica is just posting lies and stuff all the time. So to be fair, I think to their defense, the people that are critical of Ars Technica, is Ars Technica often makes some weird statements, and often they correct them, but especially when they talk about the controller being like a $100 cell phone or something in parts, or that the console is basically $100 in parts. And I found that such a weird estimate, because we know these days screens have skyrocketed in price. So it'd be lunacy to think that you could get 2 cell phone screens for under $100 in a device. And then they also talk about the part cost, which they don't talk about shipping, manufacturing, like assembly. It's like the idea that you have $100 in parts and that sounds expensive to sell it more is just ridiculous. But no, what I was always thinking is Tommy Tallarico went overkill with his design for the controller, and he made it to the point where it costed too much, and really he should have like really cut costs down on making it. Because I don't know, as like a manufacturer, I tried to start a business and we had a huge profit margin compared to what this is. And even this, my business was hard to run. And I was looking at a product part that costs like $1 or $2 and selling it for hundreds. So this idea that you could take a product that probably costs close to like maybe $250 to manufacture. Oh, and then there's a huge thing with the debt involved and why they had to raise the console price. So anyways, not to get too much into this article, because yeah, I think people that are critical of Ars Technica do make some points. Ars Technica makes some really weird statements. But yeah, I think a lot of what they say is true. Obviously not all of it, because they're always correcting stuff and updating it. And credit to Sam, I know he's gotten a lot of heat in the circles, but I think he does a pretty good job with these articles. Like, you can never get it perfect, right? So anyways, we'll move away from the Ars Technica article. Oh yeah, and sorry, I'm probably going to get a bit of lag tonight. I noticed that my internet is fucking shit show tonight, so that was the Ars Technica article. And they also mentioned the crowdfunding, so that's what we'll check out next. So I've never heard of this crowdfunding campaign thing before. It's called, what is it? Start Engine. I know a lot of people are critical of it, saying that no one should invest in it because Amico's in really rough shape right now. But to be fair to Amico and investments in general, usually the best investments come from something that has so much negativity and skepticism applied to it. If everyone thought it was a good idea, there'd be no way to invest in it. All right, so far they've raised $40,000 of the $5 million goal. Is that what it is? So I was listening to No Swear Gamer. He's got a great channel talking about Amico. And he showed me the breakdown of this and what this all means. Because, yeah, when you look at it, there's only 13 hours left, and right now it's 4 a.m. So 12 hours from now, so roughly, what would it be, 5 p.m. tomorrow will be when this first 72 hours of crowdfunding ends, and they're trying to reach this $5 million goal. They got a new video for all the crowdfunding stuff. Now this brings back the original points from like the very first videos I made on this. People were mocking, or Intellivision and Tommy started off by mocking the idea of companies that need to crowdfund, saying that those companies just don't know what they're doing. And now basically they've been on their 4th crowdfunding campaign. I could be wrong. Someone could put in the chat how many crowdfundings have they actually made it. Hey Loveface, welcome back to the chat. So make sure to keep your clothes on. Always have to tell the ladies that. Alright, up to 8 players, motion controls, integrated touchscreen. Yeah, someone made up a great point in this thing. Have we seen any example where someone's actually playing an 8-player game? I don't think we have yet, but maybe. Motion control. Yeah, someone was making points about that. Motion controls are such an old and outdated technology. It's kind of almost like coming out with a telegraph machine in like the modern era. People would be like, what the fuck, motion controls? I know Wii and Switch and Wii U, they all use them, but they're starting to phase them out because most people are sick of it. Like most people realize the reason we're playing a video game is so we don't have to move around. If we were going to move around, we would just do the real activity. But anyways, integrated touchscreen. So yeah, people are obviously pointing out that a video game controller doesn't need a touchscreen. There's a million different ways you can work a way around it. This idea that we're adding touchscreens to controllers, something redundant. Like really, if we just had the regular card for inlays, you could slide it over. Shit, that'd be great. That's what I was thinking. If I wanted to make just one change to the Amico controller, I'd ditch the whole screen. That'd be like 90% of the cost of the console gone. And then just put a number pad and have the overlays. Have it wireless, have this cool D-pad they're working on. Like some of this shit's really cool in this controller. I just think the whole screen idea is a fucking nightmare. Like anything that you're accomplishing with that screen, I think you could still program to work with the number pad and the overlays. Hell, you could even put some LEDs under the overlays if you really wanted to. Fuck man, just ditch the screens before it's too late. So that's what we're talking about, a lot of these Amico ideas. We've reached the point where Amico's on their last legs. Some people would argue, but a lot of people would argue against it, that really this is their last crowdfunder. If they don't reach the money they need this time, it's over. They're bankrupt. Now some people could argue, hey, they're not bankrupt, they got a lot of funders that they haven't disclosed yet. But according to all the investment information we see here, that's what we're basing this on. And it's also allegedly. Now I was thinking too, the one thing that the Amico and Intellivision really could have cut costs to bring like the whole thing so they didn't have to crowdfund so much, would have been if they would have just focused on one color. I think they said the black unit ended up selling out in Canada and Best Buy the fastest, So I was thinking, yeah, they really should just look at some focus market research like that and said, hey, we're just making the black one just to keep the costs low, right? So you don't have to get carried away with your manufacturing. Like later we get in these investment things and they talk about how much money they need for manufacturing. I forget, it was something like 100 million or something. I was like, holy shit. It's like, fuck, man, cut that cost down a little. It's like, cut out all these different colors and shit, man. What I would have did is just made the traditional black Intellivision and then had a division that sold like skins. You know, in companies, you can sell those like peripherals. So you can put like a purple skin around it, or maybe even decals. So instead of going crazy with manufacturing costs, they could just sold sticker decals, right? Like have a base black unit, sell some sticker decals. That would have been sweet. So I don't know. In the future, if Intellivision can't reach their goals for investing, cut down on the colors. It's definitely, like, I know it's like a company and trying to get manufacturers, like having all those different molds and colors, it's not like great, right? Like keeping everything lower and fewer options off the beginning keeps costs lower. Yeah, all this market research, a lot of people don't believe the market research, and I don't blame them. And then a lot of people that are hating on the Amico and saying it could never sell. So that's the one thing that pisses me off, is no one knows the formula. Like Pat and Ian, they like to go on about how they know the formula of what would make a good console. So I guess technically a lot of people, it's just like a debate of what's a good song. NES slow. No, try not to joke about that. That's what I was worried about this episode. I'm actually generally worried about Tommy. Because I was thinking, man, the stress of this whole thing, it's really got to push anyone to the edge, right? You could take even the strongest person, put him through the stress of what he's gone through in this console release. And to boot, we'll get to some more information. Now, just to clarify what the viewer's talking about, if anyone's heard, John Alvarado, he released some bad news. So let's cover that quickly before the speculation gets out of control here. Now, the slide is actually called Tommy's Dying, so I don't want to get too dramatic here, but now if anyone's heard John Alvarado, I think I'm saying his name, Alvarado, hopefully I'm saying it. Anyways, he released a statement about what's been happening behind the scenes. So he said that people have questions about why Tommy is transitioned from CEO. And he expressed disappointment over it, so he wants to provide more information about that change. Tommy was previously doing the jobs of 3 people, including the roles of CEO, game producer, and creative director, game designer. So NES says that JT is on suicide watch. I don't think that's true, but we'll check into it. And yeah, if you got any links for it, maybe share it. Or if you can't share the link here, you can share it in my Discord and we'll check it out. No, hopefully it's not true. No, I've actually lost friends to suicide in the past, so it's not something I really like to joke about, but I don't think anyone really likes to joke about it. So hopefully the viewer is serious, or not serious, and everyone's all right. All right, so let's see. See, that's the one problem where right off the bat, when John's talking here, saying that Tommy's doing the job of all these different people, it's actually on Tommy's resume of things that went wrong in the past. Not to say that everyone doesn't make mistakes, but some of the things that Tommy's screwed up in the past, if anyone's followed his like track history of what's happened, it's actually when I was a volunteer at Video Games Live is when I found out first that Tommy has a history of like, sure, a lot of his Video Games Live shows do good, but some of them also tank. So I was volunteering to help one of his shows, and it tanked. So that's how I realized that the projects Tommy's work on, I bet you he had a lot of other successful shows in that tour, so maybe it was just my city that tanked, but boy, did ours tank. And who knows, maybe ours didn't tank and a lot of people just didn't show up. Like maybe they sold out the tickets and just the place was empty because the weather was shitty. But I don't know. We won't get into too much speculation here. So anyways, who is it? Victor from Electric Playground. He actually told everyone that the main reason Tommy isn't on Electric Playground anymore, I heard him say this in a speech, to paraphrase, if he wants to correct me about the exact wording that he gave, but he said that Tommy was always too busy, that he was always working on video games live and trying to do Electric Playground at the same time, and it wasn't working out. He's like, yeah, he just couldn't focus enough on Electric Playground, so he had to go his separate ways. So that's one thing that we've seen on Tommy's resume in the past. He's not one of those people that sits around, does weed like me or Darius. He doesn't sit around getting drunk all day. He's the opposite. He like tries to go out and do a lot of shit. So that's the thing. Sometimes people sit around, they get drunk and they smoke weed and they get nothing done to a fault. And then you can actually go the opposite. Sometimes people try to take on too much and then they also fucking do it to a fault, right? So we see that Tommy's already got this going on here at Amico. So this could explain why a lot of the stuff wasn't getting done. Tommy's trying to juggle video games live. He's trying to juggle some health problems with his dad and himself. We'll get to that soon. And he's trying to juggle video games live, Amico, his family. Yeah, like a whole bunch of shit. And his job at Amico was 3 jobs. Oh, and he's trying to juggle the veganism. So we'll get to that here. If anyone can see what's happening here, not to make fun of veganism, because I know it does work for some people, but I don't know, the people it doesn't work for, boy, does veganism ever have like a horrible side effects that a lot of people don't talk about. So one of the side effects from veganism is you get horrible insomnia. Some vegans can only sleep like a couple hours a night. So here John, he's disclosed that not only is Tommy running into some health problems, but he's also reached the end stages of veganism, where he's already not able to sleep at all. And this could be he's just stressed or he's overworked and the veganism's growing great. Who knows? But just to speculate. All right, so here it says, not long ago, Tommy was struck with serious health problems, or they call it a health challenge. So not to put words in the mouth, but this makes me sound like he's telling us that Tommy has a serious health condition, right? And I don't doubt it. I know a lot of vegans should say a lot. I know a few vegans that took their veganism to the point where they actually died. And it's debatable if it was from the veganism, but so yeah, you have to be very careful when you're trying extreme diets, right? Even like extreme meat diets or extreme like keto diets, or not to offer health advice, but any health diet that's extreme sounds pretty sketch, to say the least. Like the whole balanced diet, right? We always talked about that for thousands of years, trying to have a balanced diet. But anyways, yeah, so here, that was the problem. Tommy is not only his health problems, but his dad was also having serious health problems. And that was the one thing that concerned me, is Tommy actually posted on his Facebook that he was starting to crack under the pressure of looking after his dad. So I was thinking, geez, that makes it sound like that was part of the reason why he had to step down from an Amico. So it says here, yeah, that John is confirming that. Now, to be fair, like some people probably need a little bit of veganism if they've clogged their arteries and just like guzzling back cheese and gravy and shit, but man, other people have taken the veganism too far and they probably could use a little bit of meat. It's like all the balance everyone's trying to find in life, right? No one knows the real path. We're all trying to find it. We have a good idea of guessing what is the best. All right, so Tommy's been trying to maintain superhuman pace. So that's what I was worried about. Video games live is probably tanking. Tommy's dad is probably getting pretty good care, let's hope. And Amico is tanking. So it's like, yeah, he's juggling too much. And then that happened to me in real life too. I remember once I tried to juggle 2 full-time jobs. It didn't work good. I ended up losing both jobs. All right, so that's just the one thing we wanted to cover. And yeah, praying for Tommy and his dad. Hopefully they can get their health situations looked after the best they can. No, and thanks for John for disclosing that. I know sometimes I'm very critical of John because he has a big role in Amico. We're going to cover that shortly. And when it comes down to everyone disappointed that Amico failed and couldn't launch, if that is the case, a lot of the heat is going to fall on Tommy, but also John. So just to be fair to John, he's taken up a pretty big role here at the company. So hoping up the best for him and the company, and hopefully they can get the Amico launch, but it's not looking good. So we'll take a look at why it's not looking good next. Oh God. Now, just to be fair, if anyone's wondering what my point of view about Amico is, I guess I should disclose it now. I'm an old-time Intellivision player. You could probably tell by my haircut. No, so I still have some of my original Intellivision stuff, and I also bought the games to play Amico, but I didn't pre-order and I didn't invest. I wanted to invest, but I never did because my province actually banned the investments, so I wasn't even allowed to. But now, after seeing how the investments turned out, I'm kind of glad that my province banned it. Who knows, maybe my donation could have turned the company around, or investment. Oh, here, see the poker blackjack card we got from Intellivision? This is my game shelf, if anyone's wondering. So we'll cover that. Yeah, let's go to my game shelf now. See, I was thinking a lot of people, yeah, you can see my Intellivision stuff, it's right up here. Anyways, I got here the Intellivision Amico, or not Amico, the original OG Intellivision card from poker, blackjack. And if anyone's wondering why I got this, it's one of the original ones, but it's a good metaphor for the situation that Tommy and the Amico company is in right now. If anyone doesn't know, they're reaching the end of their company where they might not have enough money to continue anymore. And if anyone's been to a casino and played blackjack, if they've played poker, if they played the different games for the casino, you know there's one thing that happens when you go to a casino, right? Sometimes what players will do is they'll take their chips, like this chip here from Caesar's Palace. It's like, yeah, I actually got a gambling chip from Caesar's Palace, Windsor. It's actually a Caesar's Palace casino that's in Canada. So what happens when you're gambling at a casino is sometimes you're playing blackjack or poker and your money starts getting really low, like lower and lower and lower. So you're almost out of all your chips. Sort of like just having a buck left like I have here. No, and to clarify, I didn't steal this chip from the casino. I've went home and it was in my pocket and I haven't returned it yet. You're not supposed to bring the chips home. But anyways, yeah, so what happens when you're almost out of chips from playing blackjack and poker? You know what some people do, like I do? I'll take my last few bucks of these chips and I'll cash it into tokens and I'll go and play the slot machines. Why? Because the investments that I was trying before, like trying to win at blackjack or trying to win at poker, I just wasn't working out. So I had to try something new. Take my last bit of money, try a real high risk investment, see if I could win everything back. So that's probably not the greatest idea and for Intellivision and Amico, but I was thinking this is really the point they've reached in the company. They're really at like, should we keep all our chips in the Amico pile? Or should we move the last money we have to a different gamble and try to turn this boat all around? And I just brought it up as an example because that's actually what happened to me once at a casino. I was playing blackjack poker, got all my money down from like 200 to just like $10. So I was like, oh God, I lost all my money. So what did I do? I took that $10, put in a slot machine, pulled the fucking handle, won like fucking hundreds. So I was like, holy fuck. It's like all I had to do is change up the strategy, right? So I'm worried, like, does Intellivision and Amico really have a chance at this point? or do they really need to change up the strategy? I think it's reached the point where the change up in gambling strategy might be the idea. Not to say I know what's best and not to be offering any advice to them. This is just all theoretical. Now, to be fair, Intellivision, no one really knows. Pat and Ian, all the critics, all the supporters, no one knows if it actually made it to the shelves. People could buy it and love it and sell like hotcakes. No one knows. Obviously, 99% of everyone's opinion is saying that this thing's going to tank. And yeah, I'm even in that point too. I don't like the Amico idea. I wish Intellivision went a different route. Like, I wish they didn't have this fucking screen on it. But anyways, still, I was thinking all it takes was Tommy could have one ace up his sleeve in his sweater, and he could pull it out, and he'd be like, you know what? Guess what's in here? Tommy could go, psh, Candy Crush. Some sort of like Intellivision puzzle game that just destroys the market and is like an all-time best-selling game ever. And look how basic Candy Crush is. It's like a fucking 200 megabyte game or whatever. Took a programmer probably a week to make it. So anyways, it's like, yeah, it's like, to everyone making fun of Amico, sure, 99% of the odds are that it's going to fail, but there's still that 1% chance that, holy fuck, they could hold some sort of app in there that they haven't told anyone about. Who knows? Maybe that brain duel or whatever they have. It could be the next Candy Crush. No one knows. It's like when a music band comes out. Those like music companies, they can try to get like a pop group together, release an album, but no one really knows, will that album be a success? They can have all the different recipes of what makes the best music, but when you make that music, will it be a success? It's anyone's guess. So to be fair to Pat and Ian, yes, I'd say it seems like the Amico is not going to sell well, and the games are going to suck, and everything's a disaster. But to be fair to Tommy, they could have the next Candy Crush. No one knows. And a Candy Crush game is not difficult, doesn't take like a 4K giant best processor to play. If anyone's making fun of Amico and saying it doesn't have enough processing power to play a good game, could it run Candy Crush? Pretty sure it could, right? So yeah, there is two sides to that debate. So if anyone's thinking that it's a horrible investment in Amico, sure, it seems like, yeah, 99% of the people are right about that. But there is that 1% chance that, whew, could be the next big one. You never know. No one knows. But from what we know now, there is a lot more information that says that it's going to be an even bigger uphill battle than we thought. So let's get into why it's going to be a huge uphill battle. Not to make fun of it. All right, so Phil Adam. Oh, for a second there I thought it said vegan. No, he's a veteran. Now, the only thing I'm worried about this team at Amico is they've really proved that whoever is involved in this team has failed very badly. And a lot of the same team has been the same since the beginning. And to be fair, we get into more of the investments. Tommy, Phil, and Adam, I think they all, or Nick, I'm pretty sure these guys all invested their own money into the company. So some people debate if those investments were scams and all this, but if I had to guess, they honestly wanted it to do good, because a lot of their money getting it back in this loan was dependent on like revenue. So the fact that the company is tanking is actually bad for their revenue return. So I'm pretty sure, like, if people are making fun of them and saying they're trying to lose on purpose, I'm pretty sure that they would actually be trying to win, because their money is heavily dependent on winning. All right, so here's some of the other company: Rob, John, Hans, and Jason. I could have swore there was some new guy at Intellivision. If anyone has information about him, or maybe he's been around since the beginning. I think I was reading his Facebook to see. Let's see, what's his name? Oh, here it is. No, it's a cool guy. He sounds a little bit charismatic, to say the least. Who at Intellivision isn't, though, right? So this guy, Guido. So he's been posting some stuff on, I guess, on behalf of Intellivision, Some people are even debating with him if he actually is a real employee. So I don't know if he is or not. Maybe someone can clarify. But anyway, he has all these posts about Amico. Some of them are quite interesting. He gets, like, if you read his background, if he is an employee, it's like you go to his Facebook page and it's so political. I was thinking I feel bad about that sometimes too, because I get so political on my Facebook that I feel bad about the companies I work for being associated with my views. So I'll often just remove where I work from Facebook. Try to disconnect a little bit. I'm so ashamed of myself. But anyways, so today we're exactly 1 year away from the launch of Amico. So that was back in 2019. Holy fuck. Yeah, I was looking at some of my videos for Amico. I think they were 2019 also. So they're slowly unveiling more specs, videos. To start things off, here's the LED disc on the Amico. Yeah, I think the disc, to be fair, Guido is right. Or Gido. I don't even know how to pronounce that. My grandfather's name was actually Gido, so I don't know if I'm saying it right or wrong. I'm very confused about everything. No. So anyways, let's see. So there's a whole lot more. And to be fair with Guido, he is right that that disc is very strange. So I don't know, people have tried the disc. Some people like it, others don't. So I don't know, I haven't really seen Guido's name on this list. Maybe he's on here, I missed it. Oh yeah, and I got some new updates. I made a lot of videos talking about David Perry, and I thought maybe he was steering the company in the wrong direction because he's the director. But from these documents, we learned that he almost does nothing at Intellivision, according to the documents. Maybe the documents are wrong, but it says that he only works 0.25 of an hour each week. So what is that, like he works 1 hour a month for Amico or something? So yeah, so no wonder. It's like before I was kind of thinking he was steering it in the wrong direction because he's the director. But maybe he's not, because it looks like he's not really as heavily involved as I thought. So we'll get into some more information about that. So NES Slow, he says, are there any Mexicans in Canada? Well, during my lifetime, I guess it depends which part of Canada you live. Obviously, there's a lot of different regions of Canada. But my city had a very low Mexican population up until like the 80s. And then we started mass migrations. So yeah, there is mass migrations pretty much everywhere. But it's like, the one thing I like is I used to criticize Mexico that we weren't allowed to move there. But they have actually changed the laws. So now I'm thinking about buying land in Mexico and like buying a house or buying an apartment, really cheap ones too. You can get an apartment or a house, like a condo, for like $20,000 in Cancun. So it's like I might end up moving to Cancun. So I shouldn't give the Mexican people such a hard time. If they want to move here and live in the winter and I can move to Cancun, sounds like a pretty good trade. I don't mind. Sounds great, actually. I like the way this globalism is going. It's terrible. No, I shouldn't make fun of it, but... No, the only thing that worries me a little bit about moving to Mexico is the bugs. Like, I don't know if anyone's seen the bugs in Canada, but dear God, if winter doesn't make you leave Canada once you get a good taste of the bugs. Now the government is doing everything they can to make the bugs worse too, so those environmentalists, they want the bugs to live and people to die, right? Alright, so we're getting into some more offerings here, and we're getting into the nitty-gritty of what's going on with the Intellivision and where some of the problems appear to be traced back to. Now if anyone's wondering what I was talking about, Tommy's been promoting the vegan stuff for quite a while. So not to make fun of his veganism, it works a lot, or no, I shouldn't say a lot. It works for very few people, but some people manage to pull it off. So not to say that everyone gets sick and dies from going vegan, just like 99% of them. Nah, I shouldn't make fun of it because a lot of my friends and family almost died from veganism. So that's why I'm well, I even know some that did arguably die from it. So it's a very serious concern. Like when I hear someone's gone vegan, I'm like devastated for their well-being. But to be fair, it does work for some people. It almost reminds me of when someone tells you they joined a cult or something. That's why I found it funny that the Amico gets described as a cult, because veganism is very much a cult as well. Not to make fun of it, it works for some people, but a lot of the shit that happens in veganism is definitely cult-like. Not that there's anything wrong with cults. Maybe some people like cults. It's good. Good old cults. Alright, so anyways, let's open up the document here. No further delay. Alright, so we're into the later pages. We'll try to skim through and just go to the best parts because No Swear Gamer does an excellent breakdown of this document if anyone wants to see in better detail. So anyways, when you click the crowdfunding thing, you can look at some of the information that's now public for Amico. Maybe this stuff was already public, but I didn't know. So it breaks down the details of how they've ran up like $8 million in debt. If anyone wants all the nitty gritty on that, make sure to check out No Swear Gamer. He finds it somewhere on all this. That's talking about some of the different IPs and trademarks that Intellivision has. Some of the cool stuff, not so cool stuff. Yeah, and they kind of break it down that a lot of these titles and games and licenses were so old and obscure that you could really buy it for, I think he broke it down to like $100,000 is what they were able to buy everything of Intellivision's properties. But I think that number sounds ridiculously low. So maybe it's like they just didn't break down the number properly. It probably costs more than that. If anyone knows for sure if that's really how much they got it for. So yeah, they were talking about how many different games are in development, how many are realistically going to launch. And they said approximately 15. So it's like if they reach the 15 mark, even that's going to be a stretch. I think that's what that means by approximately. Could be wrong. Maybe that means they have more than 15. That could be. But going on the trend of which direction it's been going, it probably would be less. Allegedly. They have generated over $25 million in pre-orders. People debate that because people are canceling the pre-orders like crazy. The latest news, if anyone hasn't heard, a lot of people are thinking that Intellivision is near bankrupt, so they're madly dashing to the door to get their money back on the pre-order before there is no money left from the bankruptcy. But to be fair to Intellivision, that's just speculation. Or speculation based on all these financial documents that show they really only have like a month or two's money worked out. And if they don't reach millions more in crowdfunding, that they're fucked. They're bankrupt. Or they'll have to sell the company. That's what I was thinking. At one point they talked, No Swear Gamer, that they might have to sell Intellivision. I was thinking, dear God, imagine they sold it to someone competent. I was thinking they could sell it to like the Arabs, what is it, the Saudi billionaire family. They're into buying video game company assets. So maybe like sell it to them. That'd be fucking sweet. Because I'm pretty sure the Arab guys, they would know how to get the console out. They would have enough money to launch it. They would have like competent staff that's actually able to finish the projects they're getting paid to do. All right, so here we're starting to break down some of the salaries. Now, everyone who's been wondering too, like they've crowdfunded so much at Intellivision, or raised funds or investments, whatever you want to call it. And how much of this money is going to who? I was wondering to see Guido, like, not to make fun of him, but let's look at some of the posts he's putting on his wall. He has a really bad case of like what is it called? Like far left extremism. Not to make fun of it. Maybe he does it just as like a joke and it's not really real. It's just a persona that he has online. But just showing from his public profile post of what he makes public for everyone to see. He's very anti like America. He hates the United States in a lot of his posts, mocking like our country or the United States. I'm actually from Canada. But yeah, and he calls anyone who supports ideals that don't agree with his, like someone who votes someone against him, is a neo-Nazi. So he's like, has that insane delusionism of like anti-Trump syndrome. So I was wondering like how much, like here he's even going on about the Muslim ban. Like anyone with like any common sense who isn't like overwhelmed with like delusions has looked up. Like I even have friends that are from Iran. My friend from Iran, he's like, you know what? I'm from Iran and I'm Persian. He's like, my country has been fighting Islam for like, I don't know, I guess ever since Islam began. So he's like, I couldn't be any more not Islam as you could be. And he's like, I'm still banned from traveling. He's like, this isn't a Muslim ban. He's like, this is a ban from people from Iran. So when Guido is commenting he hates Trump and everyone that is a neo-Nazi because of like a Muslim ban, just to clarify, it's not a Muslim ban. It's like some people confuse location, like countries, with like ethnicity or even like religious people. Like to try to say someone's from a country so that implies that they are that religion. Like there's lots of different people of different religions in Iran, right? You can find the Parsi people, like pretty much any religion, I guess, is probably found in Iran. It's been, colonized so many times throughout history. So anyways, not to make fun of Guido, like I know a lot of the people that are like far left extremists and like protesters and so political are actually the kind of people I like to debate with, so I shouldn't make fun of him so much. I'm sure he's a great guy. Like he likes peace and all that. Like I think a lot of people have good intentions. You just got to worry about where good intentions lead. Most times good intentions pave the road to hell, right? So yeah, he seems like a cool guy, but this going on, like, and also he also talks about people as being racist, and he talks about things we're not allowed to talk about on social media. Didn't even notice that on there. So I was wondering like how much time is like and money is going from the investors to like far left extremist groups that we can see involved in Intellivision. It's a little bit of a concern. That's why someone was saying too, Guido, that you really shouldn't be like totally alienating anyone that doesn't vote in the same way you do, because the US is pretty much a 50-50 split, right? So you're looking at half the country is already not going to buy your products because you're alienating them. But who knows, maybe he didn't intentionally get his politics involved with Intellivision, but it's kind of interesting. Did we have any more information from Guido? I think we did. But maybe we'll save it for a little bit later because I don't want to make this a Guido bashing episode. All right. So Tommy Tallarico, to be fair, his salary is actually quite low. A lot of people are talking about he's probably just milking the company for millions. He's down to like 96,000. Now some people might be saying, "Oh man, that's a lot of money," but for that type of job in the field, that's actually very low. Like CEO of a fucking giant tech company in California, you're looking at millions usually, right? And yeah, we'll get into it more later, that Tommy actually invested a bunch of his own money into the company. And I was always wondering how much he invested. Now someone was saying one of the investments was to the company, or like a loan to Intellivision, but it had a high interest rate or something. So I don't know how true that is. I don't have all the details, so that just sounds like speculation at this point. All right, so we got to Tommy's, we got to Nick Richards. And to be fair, Nick Richards, he sounds like a reasonable salary as well, even low for like CFO or director and treasurer for like a big tech company in California, this is actually like a low wage, right? So far we don't really see any like mass corruption and scandal. And here, this was the information that disproves my theory. So if anyone was trying to argue with me that David Perry wasn't actually like in control of what was happening with Amico, even though his title is called director, it actually looks verified now. Because if you look here, like look what it says. He's only working 2.5 hours per week with the company. So maybe that means just at that role, and he does other roles at the company that use up more time. So I found that interesting, like the very director of the project is barely involved. So when I started to look at like why would the Amico break down in the structure of a company, it could be because the director isn't really involved with the project. And I think directors are normally a pretty essential role. I could be wrong about that. Oh yeah, it even says that, director. So maybe that's just like recently he's only doing 2.5 and that number's changed in the past. That could be it too. Now the only thing I was kind of giving David Perry a little bit of a hard time about was his involvement with cloud gaming. So I was like, oh fuck, we're going with cloud gaming with Amico, because I was like, holy shit, if one of the main directors is the founder of cloud gaming. And to be fair too, people argued against that it was cloud, but I think it is confirmed now because they've acknowledged that NFT technology is going to be involved. They're hoping with the Amico, and NFT technology is a type of cloud technology. So there really is no debate now that Amico is, at least partially, a type of cloud technology. Might not be full gaming cloud technology, but we'll see how far they take it, if it actually comes out. Oh yeah, and if anyone wants to come on the show, we do have the Discord, so you can just jump on, but you have to keep it clean for swearing for YouTube. Can't use the banned words like or unt. Can't say the unt word. Bloody gaping cockhole. That's much more acceptable. All right, so anyways. Yeah, so David Perry, and it looks like his pay, I don't know if they list much in the way of pay. Doesn't look like he's getting much, right? Could be wrong. There's Nick Richards. All right, so Stephen Rooney, he's also barely doing anything. That's what I was wondering. Like when I volunteered for Video Games Live, I noticed Tommy got a lot of volunteers on the project, but a lot of them almost did nothing. So I was like, shit, man, we got like so many volunteers, but what does it matter if every volunteer does nothing, right? So that's what I was thinking. If you don't have a good director, that's when you start getting surrounded employees, and the employees are literally doing nothing, right? Especially if they're only working 0.25 hours a week. Like how much can you get done in that time? Show up, pour the coffee, say hi on Zoom, and then go? Is that how much 2.5 hours? All right, Phil Adam, his salary, it looks like it lists the salaries too for more than 1 year. So it's interesting to see how the salaries have been changing. Here's the big one. What is it? No Swear Gamer. To be fair, he's the one who really pointed this one out. I don't want to give John Alvarado a hard time, but he seems like a really nice guy. We've actually communicated a bit in social media. But anyways, John, his current primary role, he's where it comes to like, remember I talked about if Amico fails, where does the failure lie? Is it Tommy who fucked up? Is it some of Tommy's employees? If so, which ones? Here's where it breaks down to John Alvarado is fucking making shitloads of money off Amico. Like, you look at his monetary income, he's the big one here, right? Like, he's pushing like almost 200,000 annually, And if he's been on since 2018 at anything close to that rate, that's 2018, 200,000, 2019, 2020, 21. He's pushing like 5 years that he's been getting 20 grand a year. So that's what I was saying, like, obviously he's made less than $1 million, but it's getting close. So he's almost made $1 million, and he's like the chief technical officer, and almost nothing has been finished. Now, to be his credit, maybe he did finish everything to the console, and this blame should fall on someone else, like someone who is involved in software. So let's get on to that. So to be fair to John, I know if he was here, try to stand up for John and be like, hey man, don't just pick on him. He's got a good mustache. Stand up for it, fellow facial hair man. Anyways, yeah, so I'm a little bit worried for John here because, yeah, a lot of this blame, like especially if the Amico, if we look back in time, it was just technical problems. Like someone should have stood up and said, you know, Tommy, this controller is a fucking bad idea. We really got to drop this controller idea before we bankrupt the company. And whose job would it have been to stand up to Tommy and tell him that? Is that the person, chief technical officer? Should he have really said, you know, Tommy, this motion control just ain't going to work the way you're planning. We're not going to finish the console and it won't work, right? Like, especially cost-wise. Like I was thinking someone really should have stood up to Tommy and said, you know, Tommy, this idea of 2 touch screens, like basically a console coming with 2 cell phones. So that's almost like 3 consoles in one when you think about it, right? Because a cell phone is basically a console on its own. So you have 2 of them, so it's coming with 2 consoles. And then the base unit is another console. So you're releasing a console that has 3 consoles in one. And you're looking at trying to get it for 150. It's like, yeah, fucking right. That number, like right off the bat, when I heard that it was going to have 2 cell phones, I'm like, you're pushing $500 minimum. There's no way you can sell it for less than that. Especially when we get into the loans. We'll get into the loan part of it. So yeah, just to be fair, like maybe John, it wasn't his position to say, hey Tommy, like this is a fucking nightmare idea. Like we really got to change the direction the company's going or we're fucked. Right? Like, I don't know. Who should have been saying it? And to be fair, Tommy still might have that game changer game. He could have that Candy Crush right in his sleeve. So everything he's done so far would be justified right at the last minute. I'm hoping, because I'm actually cheering for Intellivision. I like the company. I want it to succeed. So I'm hoping all of this is actually good news. Like John getting paid this $200,000 almost annually was actually money well spent. And he really did make the best fucking console ever. And who knows, like, yeah, maybe chief technical officer is a completely different job, and I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Technical director. Nah, I shouldn't make fun of Guido being a far left extremist and getting funded, because that's actually what Canadian government likes to do too. They always like to accuse people of doing shit like that. So I shouldn't be doing the same thing they do. Soup to their low. All right, so yeah, here's we get to the points in the article. Like the people making fun of the Ars Technica. Like this Ars Technica was actually very, very nice in the article compared to if you actually read it. Because here it's even saying in the investment stuff that if they can't raise like $5 million, they literally don't have enough money to last more than a couple months. They will not succeed unless they can raise another $5 million. And how is that crowdfunder going? Let's check. Did they come close to reaching the $5 million? They're at 41,000. So it sounds like they're a little bit under by, what is that, 4.9 million. So yeah, they're really under the amount that they need to raise or the company is bankrupt according to the document. So who knows, maybe they got other funds that we don't know about, and this, or even the document's just worded wrong, or we're reading it wrong. But it definitely doesn't look good. Now I shouldn't laugh because, yeah, like the viewers were saying, Tommy really should be, like, a lot of his friends and family should be helping him at this point, because his life is breaking down all around him. His dad is literally dying. He's going through health problems. All of his investments and his entire life's work has literally just got flushed down the toilet. Like, can you imagine how low of a low that must be? At least he still got his wife by his side, so it's like I was thinking, like, as much as we make fun of vegans and all that, like, I bet you she's probably a vegan too, and she's still standing by him through all this, so props to her for being there for him. Thank God, that's probably the only thing still keeping him going. All right, so yeah, the company will not succeed. They need to raise a lot more capital, something like 100 million they were talking about in order to produce a console. All right, so they're even acknowledging. Remember before they would never acknowledge it? This is actually part of their investment thing now. It actually says realistically their product could fail to achieve the sales that they were projecting. So they're admitting that yes, the console could fail and they would go bankrupt. Come on, why is that fucking shit moving? All right. So yeah, they are competing against real cornhole. Real cornhole is an actual activity that's very cheap and easily accessible. So they have to compete with that. And at this point, they've been a company since 2018, and they haven't ever profited. Yeah, so that's a fucking nightmare. But to be fair, if you look at Moderna, they could say the same thing until all of a sudden they've got all their products forced by the government. Now they're breaking records of like the best money ever made in the history of drugs. So yeah, could be one of those flip-flops. They go from nothing to like big-time records. Oh, they have patents that are pending that might be vulnerable. Never even heard about this yet. So one of the company's most valuable assets is its intellectual properties. The company's such as patents, trademarks, copyrights, internet domain names. And all of these may not be registered with proper authorities. We believe one of the most valued components of the company is the properties. Due to the value, competitors may misappropriate or violate the rights owned by the company. The company intends to continue to protect its rights from such violations. It is important to note that the unforeseeable costs associating with such practices may invade the capital of the company due to its unregistered intellectual properties. Oh, so basically everything that Intellivision owns might not actually be theirs legally, if I'm reading this correctly. It says, yeah, it even highlights it. All their trademarks, copyrights, and properties aren't actually enforceable. They could be unenforceable or ineffective. So basically when they spent $100,000 and got the rights to all that stuff, who they got it from didn't actually have it all legally complete. So it's like when you buy a house and the foundation's fucked. I know all about that. Alright. So that's interesting. I don't know, has anyone ever heard that with the Intellivision? I never knew that all of their copyrights and patents weren't actually real. Hey, Bacon Dude, how's it going? Are they actually bankrupt? It's looking damn close. I guess I should have put a question mark because that title is a bit misleading. But no, it's all evidence points to like 99% chance of bankruptcy, but they could still pull it off. If anyone can, it's Tommy. Right, so let's continue. I shouldn't laugh, but it's true. I think Tommy could still pull it off. Yeah, they really got like a month to turn this around. That's what I was thinking. If Tommy is smart, like I was saying, the big gamble that they need to take, like poker and blackjack from Intellivision, you know what's the gamble they need to take? Fucking steer the ship in a new direction. Be like, you know what? The Amico didn't work out. Let's try to fucking do something with the company before it tanks. So that's what I was thinking. Like, you know, you're at the casino, you can just stop playing poker and then go to the slot machine. You put the money in the slot machine, boom, you could have all your funds back. Now you can go back and play poker, or you could just leave the company or the casino with a profit. So that's what I was thinking. If I was Tommy, you know what I would do? I'd be like, you know what? This Amico, it's failed. Let's fold our hand and actually try one last ditch effort before we have to fold and see if we can turn this around. So what could they do? I would personally release a new retro console with a working Intellivision cart. So you can just put the OG carts right in it. Sort of like the Poly Mega, but just have it run Intellivision shit. Start making, like, there's a whole bunch of actually new fan-made Intellivision games already ready. They're looking to get licensed. So Tommy could be like, you know what? Let's just release an OG Intellivision. Pop it out, have a real fucking cart drive on it, HDMI hookups, even an internet link, so they could sell games off the fucking internet. Turn this fucking ship around, man. Console like that would be the talk of the town. People would be like, holy fuck, Intellivision, they just released an OG console, can play the OG carts, can even play online player matches. You can get new licensed games, actual physical carts, put it in. Collectors would be like, holy shit, Intellivision's back. Then start using all that money as like new revenue and then actually turn the ship around. Be like, oh, we could take some of the money that we make without crowdfunding from actual sales and fund the Amico. That's where I think it's like you go to the slot machine. You're like, holy fuck, my poker, my blackjack, it's not going well. Let's go to the fucking different route. Let's go to the slot machine. Try something new. Especially when you look at some of these deals. Let's get in and look at more of the funding. Like Tommy, I don't know, to his credit, he's trying, but some of the loans he took are definitely not good. So when you look at this $8 million in debt they have, not only is it debt, but it's like really bad debt. The company is vulnerable to hackers. I didn't even know that. They don't have adequate insurance to insure against their losses. I didn't know that either. It says that laws in other countries could fuck them over. Anti-corruption laws. Maybe they don't want to work with the Germans. Yeah, the loans. I'm trying to get to that part. I think, what page is it? Does anyone remember what page the loans are? No Swear Gamer was talking about it. Oh yeah, if anyone didn't hear. Remember how Intellivision was bragging that they actually bought a whole bunch of the components before the pandemic? So they're like, oh, don't worry, we actually bought all the components. We prepaid for them. So everyone's like, yay, yay, they prepaid for the components. We don't have to worry about a delay. And then what do you know? They said there was a delay because they didn't have the components. So I was like, what the fuck? Didn't you just tell us that you prepaid for the components? We don't have to worry about a delay. Now we found out the details what happened. Apparently they took over $1 million of the actual money that they got, prepaid for the components, and then broke the contract with the company. So what they did is they prepaid, broke the contract, and all that money's gone, and now they don't have the components. So that's one of the things that fucked Amico or Intellivision. I was like, holy shit, man, that's quite the disaster. I know it's only $1 million, but when you're talking like an $8 million company, that's like over 10% of your company's revenue flushed down the toilet with one stupid move, right? Now, to be fair, running a company is very hard, so fuck, man, if I was in charge, I probably would have made way worse mistakes. That's why it's dangerous to hire like volunteers to run stuff. Like you really need someone who knows what they're doing in charge of companies. Because yeah, if they don't, holy fuck, man, you could tank it so easily. It says other people that they're partnered with might put them at risk. I didn't even know. Oh, this is the big one. This is one I was hoping we would hear about. I don't think No Swear Gamer talked about it. And I even asked Tommy about it in the forums, and he just went blank. Or maybe he answered and I missed it. But what was the anti-piracy that Intellivision Amico came up with, right? Like every console that comes out, they have to find some unique way to stop people from copying and sharing their games. So what was the way that Amico came up with? So that's why when I heard that David Perry was working, I'm like, oh, I know what the way is. They're going to do the fucking cloud gaming. Because it's almost impossible to pirate a cloud game, right? You never get the whole game file. So if you never have the files, like the complete file, you're never going to be able to copy it and re-emulate it. So that's what I was thinking. So let's read that, but I'm sweating like a pig, so I got to strip a little. Sorry, ladies, we won't strip that much. My OnlyFans is behind in production. I put on too much weight over the new year, but we'll try to lose more. But anyways, a little bit of stripping. We'll be right back. Holy crap. No, when it comes to weight loss goals, I gotta lose like 40 pounds by summer. It's not gonna be easy. I'll be lucky if I make it halfway, but we'll try. Alright, so anyways, our products are subject to piracy. Let's see what he's saying for piracy. Does anyone have a clue? Is it cloud gaming? What was their piracy plan? Alright, entertainment software piracy is a persistent problem. The growth of peer-to-peer networks and other channels. That's what I was thinking. Like Tommy, if you look at his history online, he's like one of the biggest components of anti-ROM. Like he hates piracy. Why? Because he's worked on so many games and he constantly wants revenue coming in because I guess he's been going bankrupt. But, well, who isn't going bankrupt, eh? Every day we're losing money. So that's what I was wondering, like, what was Tommy's big idea to stop piracy? One of the things I was thinking was that really wild controller, because I was thinking, you know how hard it would be to pirate a game if it has some controller that you'd have to emulate as well? And that controller is like so wild that maybe no one could emulate it. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. Though we took technical steps to make the unauthorized copying of our products more difficult, these efforts may not be successful in controlling the piracy of our products. Wow, so maybe it wasn't cloud. While legal protections exist to combat piracy, preventing and curbing infringement through the enforcement of intellectual property rights may be difficult, costly, and time-consuming, particularly in countries where laws are less protective of property rights. This is the one, I'm so glad they wrote this. See, a lot of people don't realize, especially Pat and Ian, they go on and on and on about piracy and copyright laws and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Pat, Ian, you live in the United States. The United States is not king of the world, and they don't dictate every other country's laws. It's like you could have a country where they can release an NFT file about you and say, fuck you, right? Like, they don't give a shit about US copyright laws, right? So that's where I think a lot of people are so fucked in the head when it comes to this whole copyright thing. They think that if they pay money, they're never going to get copied. It's like, no, your copyright law is just some legal document. It's basically garbage and only applies in the US. There might be some other countries that applies as well, but probably not. Especially when you're coming into like China and India and shit, they'll just say, fuck you, right? So that's why I don't understand why we always get so worked up over copyrights. Like, why don't we just drop the whole copyright system to begin with? It's like, realistically, a lot of countries already have. So why are we still punishing people with these fucking weird royalty fees and shit? When you look at the history of where copyrights and royalties come from, it's the way the royal family used to oppress people. They're like, you know what? Let's make royalties so that all these peasants can never make as much money as we have, so they can continue to do all of our grunt work. Not to call it any other words as bad comparisons, but yeah, they want everyone else to be doing their dirty work while they keep their royalties. That's the copyright system. Nintendo fucks their fans over and over again. Pat and Ian were even talking about it yesterday, I think. Going on how they love Nintendo and how they love how they sue their fans for copyright. It's like, fuck that shit, man. You know Nintendo? It's like, I think Nintendo could probably hold a record. We're the company that can barely go like a week without suing their own fans. It's like, fuck. Like, I like some Nintendo products and shit, man, but the way their company works with copyrights and suing their fans and all that shit, it's like, fuck them. I can't believe anyone supports that shit. Oh well, Pat and Ian, I like their show and stuff, but a lot of times I disagree with them. When it comes to this copyright shit, yeah, it's fucking garbage. It's like, why would you even bother? It's like shooting yourself in the foot, right? Like, why would you do it? Come up with all these stupid laws, like fucking courts can battle over all this fucking copyright shit. And then some guy in another country's like, just fuck you, I'll copy it. Laugh at you while you fight your idiots selves in court. That's where China, if anyone's wondering where China got the big edge in the world economy, a lot of cases, like they said, fuck it to copyrights. Now, officially, they still follow copyright laws, but a lot of cases they don't, and they don't enforce it. So that's where they're getting away with like making all the same products cheaper, selling them, and getting away with it because, yeah, they're just like, fuck it. Who gives a shit about the copyrights? It's like, it's technically the free market, like the capitalist way. It's supposed to be a free market, right? So why the fuck would we have laws controlling who can sell what in a free market? I'm kind of agree with the libertarians there. Really, we need less government, less regulations, less copyrights, less all this fucking bullshit. They replaced Tommy as the CEO for his bad business. Yeah, just to clarify, if anyone didn't hear, there is a whole nother story to it as well. Like, this is me and my uncle, so I can definitely relate to what Tommy's going through. I literally just spent like the last 2 years taking care of my uncle. And yeah, it sucks, man. When you're doing full-time care, like PSW work like that, it takes up all your free time. So yeah, sadly my uncle, he's in the hospital now, and he got to the point where he's on so many machines, we can't look after him at home anymore. But that's actually where Tommy's been, is his dad's in the same situation. So now Tommy's looking after him full time, and yeah, he really shouldn't have tried to juggle 2 jobs for as long as he did. But you know Tommy, man, like he takes on so many projects at the same time that he tries to be superhuman, but you know what happens, right? If you become a contortionist, you end up bending your body too much and it breaks, right? Not that I know about that happening. No, Tommy used to tell great contortionist stories about how when he was hanging out with the video game community, he went to some of the after parties. You know how people make fun of Activision and all these like wild parties and stuff they were throwing? Tommy was telling some of the stories about what it was like in the video game community. He went to one after party for the video game. I can't remember which company. Maybe it was EA. I shouldn't say because like, who knows? And I won't say EA. I'll say I don't know which company. But anyways, he went to this after party with Victor and Lucas and him, Tommy. And when they got there, they had naked contortionists. So they had literally had like hot babes, like just strip naked and start bending in every way possible. So I was like, holy fuck, man. The video game community, like these guys making the video games, they didn't know how to party, right? So I was not surprised when all these scandals started coming up. I'm like, hell yeah, it's like rock stars, right? They're like living the life of like party animals. That was the dream about becoming like a video game creator when we were kids, right? Could grow up and start partying like fucking animals. That's why I miss the old Tommy. He used to tell such great stories. But where are those stories lately, right? Damn. It's all family-friendly garbage. That's what I was thinking, like, man, if Tommy would have stayed with his old persona, like the guy who's like a video game maniac who wants the best graphics and one who loves violence and sex, it's like, whatever happened to that Tommy? I miss him. Let's put the Ars Technica article on there for a second. Am I drunk? No, I wish. It's only 5 a.m., so I'm going to probably wait at least another 20 minutes before I hit the bottle. At least. I don't want to be ridiculous here. No, I am vaporizing, and I got some really good honey oil. Fuck, man, this honey oil, it would knock Darius on his ass. I tell you, man, he'd probably throw up. It's that strong. No, it's the new CO2 extraction that the government of Ontario sells. Oh. You want to, fuck it, it's so good, it comes in a syringe, for God's sakes. Not to inject it, just to like pour it on stuff so you don't waste any. No, I wish I had more to drink. I only have a sip of this bottle left. So we're going to probably have to wrap this up soon. No, we'll try to get to more of the information because we didn't even get to the best parts. Now, I was going to try to get Darius to try my vaporizer one day, but he said he's not really into bongs. So I was like, fuck, man. The hell's wrong with you? Now, I think he lives in the same city as me. I could be wrong. No, someone was trying to dox him. I was like, holy shit, Darius, he lives right in my city. I'm not sure if that's true, though. The doxing might have been wrong. And it's not good to dox people. All right, if we do consistently meet our development schedule, yeah, right, they've never once met it. All right, so it says if they're unable to maintain and acquire licensing and intellectual property rights owned by others in the games, cash flow will decline. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Everything that in Amico put in the profit things, like they wanted the console to be cheaper. They wanted no in-game purchases. They wanted the game prices to be low. It's like they basically just kept shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again. It's like, have you ever heard like Sony or Nintendo come out with this statement? And they're like, you know what? Our games range between $2 and $80. They're like, the game price will never change. Have you ever heard them say that? Obviously no. Nintendo is just like, you know what? Game developers, they can charge whatever the fuck they want for their games. Why would we shoot ourselves in the foot and limit how much we can charge for shit? It just made no sense. It almost sounds like a company that has no idea what they're doing, right? Like, why would you put all these restrictions? There's no reason. It doesn't benefit you at all. That's what I was thinking. You know what Tommy kept saying too? He's like, in-app purchases suck. I'm like, Tommy. He's like, it makes gaming too expensive. I'm like, Tommy, have you ever even played a game like in the last 10 years? Like, seriously, man. In-app purchases literally make games free. Like, if I want a game these days, you know where I get it? I log on the PlayStation Store. I look up the free-to-play games. Pick whatever fucking game I want. It's all the most popular games. Fortnite, free. Fucking whatever game you want that's popular. It's free. So that's where he's saying games are more expensive than ever. Let's say fucking bullshit they are. In-app purchases have literally made games free. Free. It's like, how much cheaper could you get than free, right? Unless they're paying you to fucking take the game. So that's where I was thinking, dear God, man, like, stop it with this in-app purchases making games more expensive. They make it more expensive for rich people that are like, hey, I got so much money, I can just throw money at the free game because I'm loaded like a fucking whale, right? So that's the problem too. Like, why would you want whales to stop throwing money at your game? It's like, that's part of your policy. You're like, I don't want whales throwing money at the game developers. It's like, what the fuck? Why would you not? So I get it. Some people don't like free-to-play games, but I fucking like them. I like free. Free is a good price. That whole game's too expensive. Never been cheaper. I would argue that Amico games are the most expensive. Like if I want to play Fortnite or if I want to play an Amico game, which is more expensive? Literally, Fortnite's free. And I can play it on devices I already own. The entertainment industry has risks. Yeah. Litigation? Yeah, legal actions. That's the main reason my company folded. I realized that, yeah, I could make a few $1,000,000 running a company, but I'd also be opening myself up to like hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits. So I was like, fuck, do I really want to make a couple $1,000,000 and then get sued for $100 million? That's one of the problems with starting a business. Someone was telling me you can buy liability insurance and all that shit, so I might try to do that to save my company, but... Alright, so the pandemic that we're not allowed to talk about. God, I can't believe that, eh? Like, we're still not allowed to talk about that. Makes me wonder, like, when is our society going to change that so we get free speech back? I fucking miss it. Alright, manufacturing risks, shortages. So that's why they're talking about these shortages and manufacturing risks and all that. If people didn't notice, most of China never closed. So, like, yeah, they did have isolated lockdowns, but the majority of the country remained open for the entire lockdown or pandemic. So this idea that there's, like, shortages and stuff, I think what they're mistaking shortages with is they actually, like, just raise the prices on a lot of shit. Like, fucking a crate of goods, like, went up by 10 times. So, yeah, if you want to ship something, prices on that fucking skyrocketed. So if you want to blame the pandemic and shortages, I don't know if you could say that's the correct wording. Fuck, man. What happened to that fucking shit, man? I had that article up on the screen and it just vanished. That sucked. Dude, literally just vanished. Alright, well, at least we don't have to worry because I can just reopen it, but that's fucking annoying, man. Why did it just close like that? I think it's probably me hitting the vaporizer too much. Fucking clicking shit, don't even know what. Yeah, so if anyone's been wondering what I've been reading from, it's from this. Part of the crowdfunding campaign information. There we go. Alright, if anyone remembers what page I was at, I think I was in the 20s. Fucking 60-page document here, right? Prices may change. Yeah, no shit. Ah, here it is. Entertainment industry, the virus we're not allowed to talk about. Anti-corruption laws. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Does anyone ever hear the news? When it comes to other countries, not only are other countries' laws with video games very different, but fucking Brazil, like, literally bought a lot of the rights to Sega. And when it comes to the rights to Sega, not only do they have the rights to make the Master System and the Genesis, but guess what other consoles? They have the rights to make the fucking Saturn and the Dreamcast. I was like, fuck, man, Brazil still makes the Dreamcast. So they shut the production down temporarily, but they're hinting that they're actually going to release another line of Dreamcasts. They might even soup it up, too. So I was like, isn't it funny how Sega in, like, other countries, like Sega of US and Sega of Japan, we always talk of them as being out of the hardware market, but a lot of people don't realize that Sega of Brazil, they are still making hardware, and they still have the rights to, like, release Dreamcasts and shit. So we could actually be looking at a Dreamcast 2, and it could be coming from Brazil. The only problem is, yeah, like the shipping regulations, how much it'll cost. It might be like $2,000, but yeah, I'm going to make a whole video on that soon. So we'll get into that another day. Let's get back to the Amico. That's what I was thinking. Like, really, if someone bought Intellivision and just remade the company and just came out with like a good retro console. One with a cartridge drive, could play the old OG games. One with online access to a store so the fucking company can start getting revenue in right away. And they don't even have to make physical items. They could just be collecting money digitally. That's the one thing when you open a company, one thing you're supposed to do is try to get as many revenue streams going as you can. Sort of like as a YouTuber. You get Patreon. You get your YouTube revenue, your Google AdSense. You get like a fucking Society 6 store so you can sell merch. You start getting all these different revenue streams. Did we see Intellivision do that? A little bit with like the shirts and stuff. How they started to sell the games. But I was thinking, dear God, man, all their merch kind of sucks balls. They really should have stepped it up a bit. Come up with a new retro console to help the actual console productions get off and rolling. So once you start making a lot of like OG Intellivisions, you get used to production. You can start coming out with actual better consoles. All right, so here's where we come into, what is it, debt? Is this what it is? Loan notes. So they borrowed this. Holy fuck, does it say they borrowed $1 million at a 10% interest rate? I sure hope not. Fuck, man. That'd be brutal. No, I don't think that's what that was. Let's hope not. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we should probably start wrapping this up because, yeah, it's getting early in the morning. Yeah, but what does everyone think about the whole Tommy situation? Like, really, the one thing that I'm really worried about the most? Oh, here's, yeah, we're actually to the loan part. Like, all these people that invested money all count on Tommy. So it's got to be, like, so much pressure on his shoulders. All right, as growth is maintained and a company will open around approximately $35 million of debt, holy shit, or equity. So hopefully that's more equity than debt. All right, creditor, convertible notes. They owe $1 million and they're paying a 5% interest rate on that. Holy fuck. Television, you should have borrowed money from me. I would have lent it to you for cheaper than 5%. Fuck, man. My bank, you're lucky if you can get 1%. All right, so they borrowed, oh fuck, man, $2 million at 10%. Oh God. 400,000 at 0. That's better. They owe a fucking $1 million in manufacturing. They haven't even made anything yet. I guess the games. Related, oh, family member, 50,000. All right, so here's where it comes to everyone wondering how much money did Tommy of his own actually invest in this? I don't know if this is all of it, but it says here he gave a cash loan to Intellivision of $400,000. So almost $500,000 of his own money. Yeah, that's what Tommy is really fucking right off the bat. The biggest mistake, I think, with the Amico was making it family friendly. Because anyone ask any kid what games they want to play, they do not want to play the family friendly games. They want to play Grand Theft Auto. They want to play whatever the adults are playing. They don't want a kid system. So right off the bat, when you're saying that you're marketing it as a kid system, you're marketing something that kids won't want, adults won't want, and maybe parents would want if they're buying something to punish their kids. You know how it's like if your kid does something mean, you instead of getting them a PlayStation, you buy them a console that it's like a learning console, so they have to learn something instead as punishment. So I was like, yeah, that's one of the ways he first shot himself in the foot, and that's the whole veganism. the whole veganism philosophy, they said they tried to apply it to the Amico. And the Amico and veganism have so much in common. Like, vegans literally shoot themselves in the foot. They're like, hey, I won't eat some of the best nutritious food imaginable because of my belief system. So I'm like literally harming my own physical health and some sort of delusion that I'm helping animals, where it actually hurts animals even worse. So yeah, that's the, oh boy, you can go so deep down that rabbit hole. But so yeah, Tommy, and yeah, some people are saying that the loan that Tommy gave them was actually a high interest rate, and from what I'm reading here, it doesn't look anything as high as what we were reading earlier. Like, fuck man, we've seen some interest rates at 10% up there. So these 1 or 2% interest rates, that's way more reasonable. So to Tommy's credit, it looks like he has invested a lot of his own money and he hasn't charged any ridiculous interest. That's pretty on par for reasonable interest. Nick Richards, so that's why this guy was like trying to cool the company off. He invested a lot of his own money. Here's David Perry. So this director of the company that only works a few minutes a week or whatever, names 20% of the owners. He has some company, Make and Create LLC. So actually, I managed to dig up some information on that. If anyone wants to see what's going on with this David Perry situation. Where is it? Resources. So when Tommy's talking about David Perry having this like big history of sales and stuff, this is what one of the projects he's working on now, if anyone wants to see. So this is what one of the big Amico investors since the very beginning, he branched off from cloud gaming, and now he's doing some sort of e-commerce thing. I was reading it, trying to figure out like what kind of fucking shit his business actually does. And all I can gather is it's some sort of like payment platform. So when it comes to like buying stuff online, he'll get a cut of it. So yeah, he's going to make a lot of money hoping that he can get cuts of all the transactions of companies buying and selling. So to be fair, like people like Elon Musk, that's how they made their fortunes on like PayPal and stuff, taking a cut of everyone's transactions. So that's where David Perry had a history with cloud gaming. Cloud gaming is like always taking a cut from the buyers, forcing them to pay that monthly fee. So you got to hand it to David Perry. Like, as much as these business practices seem a little exploitive, they are very profitable, and that's probably why he's so wealthy, right? Like, he's doing very well for himself, so can't hold that against him. Yeah, so he's the CEO and founder. And he seems like a pretty cool guy. Like, I don't know, I kind of gave him a hard time about the cloud gaming thing. But after hearing that he only actually in charge of Amico for like only a few minutes a week, can't really blame him for this disaster, can we? Like, that's kind of the blame I was giving him before, but now I think I was wrong. I think David Perry actually isn't the one to blame here. Especially when you look at he invested money from his company or whatever. And so he wanted it to succeed. I don't think he like was involved in any investment scam. I know a lot of people accuse Amico of investment scams, but as we can see here, they would have been scamming themselves because they actually invested themselves as well, right? So we got more loans, more loans. Oh, fuck, man. Here was we get to the fucking crazy shit loans, right? This guy, is this the one where it's something like they get $100 for each console that sells? I don't know. One of these loans talked about getting $100 off the price of every console that sells as part of their loan agreement. So I was like, holy shit, man, that loan is like, whoa. No wonder the price on the console fucking skyrocketed. They signed agreements in some of the most predatory loans I've ever heard of. But who knows? Like, I don't hear a lot of company deals, so maybe these type of predatory loans are very common, and we just don't know it, right? All right, so I'm going to have to, well, let's see, we're at page 46. We'll come back. Research and development. Oh God, that's what they want to spend 90% of the 10 million? I don't know, for me, it almost seems like the Intellivision research and development hasn't changed in like, what is it, we're going on 4 or 5 years. And it seems like all their money's going into it. So if nothing's changing, why are you investing so much into something that doesn't change? Like if they did a research and development of 96% of the money, and then all of a sudden we had a whole new console, I'd be like, all right, money well spent, right? All right, looks like we're getting into a little bit of something there, so let's try 100. The fuck, man, there's literally nowhere it says 100 in here? Yeah, right. There was literally part of the deal is like $100. It just must not be searching the text. Now, the one thing that was a little bit concerning was some of the employees listed in Intellivision. You look at their job titles and you look how much they're getting paid and you look at what the company's actually done and like how much of this is actually finished, right? Like, I know there was one part of the document that said it and I wanted to find it, but they're like something like 100% of the hardware was done. Yeah, let me look for complete. Maybe that'll help me find it. Yeah, so they're talking about what's complete into... Yeah, like it's not finding anything in this document. Why is the search feature not working? Is there another one? Normally when I open a document, I can just search it by typing in the name of what I'm looking for and it'll find it. But for some reason this file, it's like I can't search it. It's not finding anything. Let's try again. Let's try just a word, fair. Yeah, like you can see fair. It's right there. It's not finding it. Fuck, man. What an annoying document. Well, anyways, it was talking somewhere about how much of the company had actually completed. And they're saying that the hardware is completed, but the OS wasn't completed, and that the firmware is not completed. And I was like, doesn't that technically count as like the hardware not being complete as well? Because if you don't even have the operating system working with the hardware yet, you might have to make changes, right? I don't know how that stuff works, but I was thinking, dear God, man, it sounds like nothing is done. So really, John Alvarado has been paid nearly $1 million of this crowdfunding money, and he hasn't completed anything, right? Like, I don't know who's going to be accountable for not completing anything. Is it really he did complete the hardware, so it's not his fault? It is somewhere along the lines of someone else's job that they didn't complete it? Like, who's on the hook here? All right, so Drumslav Chekesenko. How's it going, man? He says, are you so poor that you shill for all this bullshit? Yeah, I am pretty poor, but no, I don't usually shill for Amico much. I've only made like maybe 10 videos since the last 3 years. I was one of the first people though. The main reason I'm into it is Tommy has been one of like my idols since I was a kid. I've followed all his work, volunteered for his projects. I kind of hate Amico. I really don't like the console, but I was kind of hoping Intellivision would do good. I was hoping that like Tommy would do good enough to make a better console than this Amico one day. I really don't like the family friendly idea. I'm about as anti-family friendly as you can get. But yeah, and poor. Now I'm trying to turn the poor thing around. I'm working on it. YouTube's definitely not doing it yet. I do have a real job. Hopefully one day I can do YouTube full time, but it's definitely a long ways away from that yet, if ever. No, at this point, the main reason I'm making these videos is I'm really worried about Tommy. Like, as a friend, it's like, holy shit, man. If there's anyone that should be concerned about Tommy, his friends and family should be like alarm bells going off. The guy's dad's dying. His health has gone down the tubes. His company and livelihood and all of his life savings and all of his like career are all hanging on this deal that's going down the toilet. So when it comes to anyone like as a human being that's going through a rough time, it's like, holy fuck, man. I know some people that invested in the Amico are probably pissed and that they lost all this money, but I really don't think Tommy cares so much about the money right now. He's more about just like survival. So I know eventually it's going to have to come down to we'll have to figure out everything with Amico and get the money sorted out, but I think he's got a lot more on his plate than just like worrying about some video game console. And I feel bad for the guy because I know he's not always the nicest guy, but who's fucking perfect, right? And some of the nice stuff that he has done is like the nicest stuff anyone's ever done. So I guess he has fucked up a lot, but yeah, he's also done a lot of nice shit. So that's why I still stand up for him. Nobody's perfect. I'm not going to turn my back on someone just because they fucked up. No, the only thing I'm worried about now is looking at who's in charge of what. John Alvarado seems like he's getting the most money out of the company. And I don't know if he let the company down by not finishing his part of the agreement. Like, did he actually make a console that can work? And it is really just something software related. Let's hope that's what it is, because John seems like a nice guy. If I had to guess, he actually did finish the console. Probably is something to do with software. No, who was the other guy? There was some other person. I was like, holy fuck, man. Yeah, marketing officer. So this guy, he's been in charge of chief marketing. And he's getting paid like fucking, whoa, $150,000. So dear God, man, like this guy's one of the highest paid employees and he's in charge of marketing. Didn't Tommy say the marketing hasn't even officially begun? So if that's the case, then why are some of the employees in charge of marketing already raking in the money? That's fucked up. Like, what kind of marketing did he do exactly? Was he the one that made the videos? Is like he a video editor? Fuck. Man, that's crazy. That much money for a marketing person. Or maybe I'm reading that wrong and that's something they'll be paid in the future. That could be it. But it says 2021, right? What kind of marketing went down in 2021 that justified like a 6-figure contract? Holy fuck. That's why I was worried when I was volunteering with Tommy. I noticed he was good at getting a whole bunch of volunteers, but when it came time to actually organizing the volunteers to do stuff, that's where the ball really seemed to drop. So yeah, he had all these volunteers, everything organized, but it just, the implementation of it didn't go through. So everyone didn't do anything and the project fell apart. So that's why I was like, holy fuck, is that going to happen for Amico? So far it looks like yes. It almost seems like Tommy put together like a recipe of a console and he needed like an engineer, he needed a software guy, needed some marketing and lawyers, and he started hiring people. But when he was doing the hiring, he hired people that didn't fit all the roles. So when it came to like key essential roles in the company, it seemed like some of the people that were hired to do the job just couldn't. So it's like something failed along connecting people that can do the job with the job that needs to be done. So that's what it sucked. Like, it's like if you hire like 100 people that have like thousands of years experience, does that experience matter if it's lacking the experience that actually needs to complete the job. So they might have like thousands of years doing all these different jobs, but when it comes to the job they're being hired to do they actually have that experience, that actual key ingredient? So I think that's what happened is Tommy hired a whole bunch of people, but they were missing the key ingredients. Like maybe what it is John Alvarado. He's great at doing stuff, but did he have the tools to actually finish? Like he might have been one of those guys that you hire for a team and he can finish like 70%. So yeah, he's great. He can finish 70%, but once it comes down to that last 30%, you got someone hired that can't do it, right? Like which of these employees was actually failing to do their jobs? That's what we really got to ask at this point, right? Not to put all the blame on John. Maybe there is some sort of software person somewhere. They dropped the ball. Like I'm not really seeing someone's name jumping out off this page saying they were the person designing the operating system and they failed. Like you got to look at operating systems like, holy fuck, man. Like you could have just copied an Android one, right? Use one that's already established so you didn't have to get carried away if you're getting to the point where you can't even finish. Yeah, so we can't blame David Perry because look, man, he's only involved 0.25 hours. How are you going to blame him? How can you blame Stephen Roney? He's only here 2.5 hours a week. It's enough to make coffee and sit down and say hi in a Zoom meeting, right? And how much time is that? You can't blame Sudesh. Sudesh is the same thing, 0.25 hours. Not to play the blame game, but we're really looking for answers here, right? Phil Adam, he's got such a low salary. Can you actually blame him? Fuck, man, he's making $37,000 to run a fucking giant tech company in California. Oh, monetary compensation, oh, $105,000, but still, man. Can we blame him for it? Oh, well, I don't even see Guido or Guido's name on here, so not sure exactly how much he got paid. I'm not sure why his name wouldn't be on here. Would he be a volunteer then? Is that what that means? Or they're just not listing all the employees, just some of the big ones? Or the ones without horrible political affiliations online? Yeah, I guess we'll cover a little bit more. Not to make fun of Guido, but let's check out what's going on in the world of the Guidos. The Guido. Now, he seems like a nice guy. Like, I like people that like video games, so we got a lot in common right off the bat. So I don't see me and him not being able to find some common ground. Alright, so Guido is going on about the racism issue. Let's check out how... You ever notice, like, sometimes priests, they'll go on and on about how much they hate gay people, and then it's, like, against the Bible. And then, like, a couple years later, they find out the priest was actually gay. So, not to make fun of Guido, but we're checking his post because he's calling everyone Nazis or, like, racists and stuff. So I just took a little glance at some of his other posts to see, does anything he posts actually sound like he's, like, the priest criticizing stuff that he actually does? So let's check. Alright, so here we have Guido, and he's saying a group of computer scientists believe a Trump server was communicating with the Russian bank. So Guido is pointing out that he's very anti-Russian. And I've noticed that. It's like a lot of really racist people these days are racist against Russians. They like blame Russians for like everything Trump did. Somehow because Russia could be involved, it means it's worse. So yeah. You just got to be careful, Russian people. Guido seems a little bit racist towards you. Now, to be fair, I know half my family's from Ukraine, so I know a lot of people have some legitimate distrust of Russia. To Guido's defense. All right, let's see what else Guido is against. Or Guido. I don't even know how to pronounce it. We'll call him G. All right, so yeah. G is very like on the lookout for that right-wing Trump mafia. So he's like in that delusional state of like political divisionism where he's like totally against something. He blames all of his problems on other things. It's probably all the Amico's fault that it didn't release because of Trump. Something Trump did to Guido. That's why the Amico has failed. Nah, I shouldn't make fun of him. I'm sure I'm just translating this wrong. Alright, so with all the alt-right wing trophium talk about UPS, post office, losing money, therefore should be abolished. So something that loses money should be abolished. So does that mean the Amico should be abolished because it loses money? It's been around since 2018. It's failed to profit every year. Looks like you've been involved in it, or maybe not. Who knows? If it's not supposed to make money, it costs money. No one says the military loses $750 billion a year either, though perhaps we should look into terms of cutting the ridiculous military spending. So what Guido might not realize is the United States is a country that's basically built on the military. It's one of our main like sources of income. All of our families, all of our friends, basically the entire country's revenue is tied to the military industrial complex. So Guido, when you're bashing the military, you're literally bashing like the entire country. There might be some people that aren't heavily invested into the military, but not likely. Because like if you're involved in like the fossil fuel industry or sometimes like weapons or factories, like everyone's part of the military here. So you're like, again, you're like shooting yourself in the foot, making fun of the American people. It's like, I don't know. It's like, really, should you have like your company people? Like, I don't know. If it was me and I was running Intellivision, I'd be like, anyone who's commenting on behalf of the company has to do it from a company account that's non-affiliated with all of their political beliefs on the side. So it's like if you have someone working for Intellivision, you don't read like giant comments about how they hate America, how they're like racist against Russians, or anyone who disagrees with them is a neo-Nazi. It's like maybe those type of beliefs shouldn't be tied with the company. It's probably not the greatest idea. Not to offer advice on how to run a company, but... Now, just to be fair, Guido might not want any of these comments shared publicly, but I'm sharing them because they were on his public profile for everyone to see, so figured he didn't care if they were shared or not, or he would have had it private. And if he wants them taken down, just let me know. I'll remove them. We're just studying what's going on at Amico. Seeing where the millions of dollars are being funneled to. Alright, so what else do we got? Oh yeah, so here I got some more posts from Guido. He was talking about how they were looking for experienced firmware engineers to work on Intellivision's console. And that was back in 2019. And that was also listed as one of the reasons why the console isn't done, is because apparently the firmware isn't done. So people pointed out that this hiring that they were doing to design the firmware was a very low rate. So the odds of them hiring an employee that actually knew what they were doing was low to zero. So this could be one of the reasons why, when we're looking at why the Amico failed, it could go right back down to this post. The post by Guido in 2019. They were half-assing their efforts to hire someone to finish the firmware, because apparently everyone they had at the company was incapable of finishing it. And I guess that's still the case. Shouldn't make fun of it, but... Now, I should probably read some of these off the screen before I bring them on. I'm like literally like going through the images on screen to see what they are. Oh no, that's the Neil Young one. No, Neil Young is going on about his music sharing, so I had a few folders about that in here. Oh yeah, so just to share, Guido does want some of his posts not shared. So he did block some of them, so we won't be sharing that. Oh yeah, and he's like anti-democrat, so I guess that's what the post was. Now, and some people are noticing that he puts that he works at Intellivision. So maybe that's true, maybe that isn't. He does have a website, a studio, DVD reviews. And he seems like a nice guy overall. I don't want to be picking on him too much. It's like, I don't know, a lot of the people that you meet these days are complete jackasses. So it's like, he's got a lot of cool qualities. I like the hippie nature and the video game nature. He's got some cool things going on. Not to completely bash him. I know I'm not perfect. If anyone wants to go over my profile, God, you'd have a blast. All right, so I don't know what this one's from. I'm going to read it, see what it is. I thought it was important at some point. I don't think I covered it. You also see the shops section, which includes something very special and unique. Oh yeah, this is one of the old posts talking about how it was supposed to come out. So that's kind of neat. Can't remember why I wanted to share that one. Oh yeah, here's the judgmental post by Guido. Now, just to show that he has like zero tolerance for racist and asswipes like this one, who is an immigrant himself. Ironically, they need to be called out wherever they are encountered. So he is like a hardcore social justice warrior. He's going around judging other people for being racist. Meanwhile, he's posting racist, anti-Russian stuff on his profile. So, yeah, it's like when you live in a glass house, you probably shouldn't be throwing stones. No, but I think he is right in a way about everyone being an immigrant. Because technically, if you look at the Earth used to have different species, right? Like, we used to have, like, what is it, Neanderthals and stuff. And they lived on the Earth for, like, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years before humans ever even came to the Earth. So technically, everyone is some sort of colonizer that took land from the Neanderthals. So, yeah, this idea that no one is an immigrant, I think he's right about that one. Everyone is an immigrant. Now, that's a weird thing, too, is a lot of times people are blaming people for being racist, for fighting with each other. But how do we know the context to this fight? Maybe they just got ripped off for money or something and they're like arguing with someone about it. We don't know, right? Who knows? Maybe that's what happened. Not to justify it, but... Yeah, and if people are wondering how much I'm invested, so far what I've invested in Amico is I managed to get the games. So I'm a little bit disappointed to hear the news that Amico is probably not going to launch ever unless they get some serious crowdfunding luck. So I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that Amico can pull off a miracle. They'll have some sort of Candy Crush game. They'll prove all the haters wrong. But it's not looking good. If it was me, what I would do is take the money and try to one last investment in something else with Intellivision. Like, I know some people talked about just releasing the Intellivision games on other platforms, but I think that sounds like a cheap way out. That's like the Sega way of capitulating. What I would do is just come out with a new retro console, be the retro console king. You could literally release a new Intellivision, call it the Intellivision 3, have it play the old retro games, has a slot right on it, start licensing some of those other game developers that are still making Intellivision games unofficially. So they actually have finished games produced on cartridges. All you'd have to do is license it and start collecting some of the revenue. So yeah, that's how I would do it, and then try to take some of that revenue and push it back into the Amico. Sort of like going to the casino and betting on one thing, failing, and then saying, fuck it, man, I'm going to go try bet on something else. Windsor Casino. Yeah, let's go back to the game room. Now, so as everyone can see, I'm a big-time gamer, got a big-time gaming shelf, got some OG Intellivision products. got some of the new school ones. So I'm not a big time Intellivision hater. I am very critical of it, but oh god, I love Bomberman. I was so happy to hear that Bomberman's coming to the Amico. Let's hope that it actually comes out. So yeah, I wish Tommy luck. I hope everything with his family, his dad's health and his health, everything. Praying for everyone. Try to remember that, yeah, I support Tommy either way. If Tommy fails, the Amico fails, and all of his investments fail, if his video game lives fail, I still think he's a good guy, and I won't hold it against him and support him 100%. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, I don't know if more people are just going to keep ripping on Tommy, but I hope everyone keeps cutting Tommy a little slack. I know so far it looks like one of the biggest fuck-ups in video game history, but to be fair, he still could turn it around right at the last second. Let's try to give him a little benefit of the doubt. I know it doesn't look good. Yeah, and if everyone can pray for Tommy and his family, I know, like, as far as praying for the video game console to do well, and as far as the health issues, I'm pretty sure Tommy wouldn't give a shit about the video game stuff, and just as a person, as a human being, right? We got to focus on really what's the most important thing, that everyone has their family and their health and everything. So yeah, praying for all the situations, and yeah, let's try to remember that, right? Hopefully we won't get too worked up over the Amico, and let's, oh fuck, I just went over the 2-hour mark. I wanted to make it under. Stupid intro or exit taking forever. Alright, so some of the people watching the episode today like vaporizer and weed stuff. So we'll play my vaporizer commercial and we'll come right back and we'll wrap up the show after. Let's check out the vaporizer. This is my failed company, sort of like Tommy's company. But hopefully his will do better. Hey, mystery guy, how's it going? Yeah, we'll be back to wrap up the viewer questions too. If anyone's got more questions, put it in the chat. Oh yeah, some people say that Tommy has a narcissistic side. It kind of reminds me of Michael Jordan, right? Some people are narcissistic for a reason. Some of the shit they accomplished really was that good. No, and Tommy was like one of the biggest celebrities for like a decade in Canada. So as much as people make fun of him, he did actually reach God status in Canada for a while. Not to say that justifies like a super narcissistic personality, but now, if people don't live in Canada, then probably not, because Video Games Live is pretty good, but I don't know, like really God status. Fuck, I love this vapor. Alright, we're back. Now we got a few more viewers that joined, so I figure let's give a shout out to all the viewers. Who do we got today? Loveface or Naked HD. Thanks again, ladies, for tuning in, sharing your naked streams. Just try to keep your clothes on. Alright, we're on YouTube. Alright, NES, SNES Slow. Sounds like a cool channel. Anyone wants to check it out? Maybe he's got some videos. Alright, Loveface. Bacon Dude. Yeah, so not to break the title, but we just explored the possibility that Intellivision is bankrupt. They're not officially bankrupt yet. No, yeah, so Bacon Dude was talking more about the loans. Yeah, those loans, holy fuck, man. I wish Tommy would have came to me for some money. Am I drunk? Not yet, but it's 6 in the morning, so we might break out the bottle soon. Yeah, Tommy was making fun of Nintendo. And to be fair, Nintendo is pretty fucked up. Like, not to make fun of Japanese people, but we all know what Japanese business investors are into. Cocaine and hookers. No, I'm just kidding. No, allegedly. Yeah, the family-friendly console. Not a big fan of that idea. Very true. All right, Drumslav, Cheksenko. He's saying, am I poor? I'm working on that, I swear. Now, if you want to help out, I've definitely got some affiliate links. Yeah, let's check out those, since I'm poor. No, well, we'll give a shout out first to the sponsor. Let's do that.
Today's Amico news is brought to you by Crack. Crack, it'll fuck you up.
All right, big shout out to the patrons as well. They've dwindled down to one, but we did have a few for a while there. So shout out to everyone who's ever taken part. Suki, Dan, Jim, Ray, Travis, and everyone else a patron. Let's go to the affiliate links. All right, so for affiliate links, we got Society 6, Finishing Quick, my specialty. Comes on t-shirts, bed sheets, both popular with the ladies. Hado TV, pays you to watch videos. Swagbucks will pay you to shop. GameKit will pay you to try games. And Free Bitcoin. It's a wallet system for crypto. If you want to check it out, it's perfect for broke people like me because they have free loot boxes that you can open, collect tiny little bits of crypto, put it in your POV-ass wallet, but hopefully save it up until it reaches a respectable amount. You can also try gambling it, but make sure you follow all your regional laws. Some people aren't allowed to. Anyways, the virtual mate is also a sex machine for adults and men only. Ladies need a sex machine. They know who to call. Just kidding. But I'm actually starting to get a life back. I might actually be able to go out soon, so who knows? Maybe the ladies will be seeing more of me soon. Anyways, $10 off on purchase of 150 or more. If you're stuck in the lockdowns and like in Canada for like years at a time, Virtual Mate, great product. Just remember, it gets mixed reviews, just like the Amico does. So some people hate it, other people love it way too much. Looking in the mirror when I say that. No, and then I got a coupon code from the company. It's called Lying BS. That's LYNBSN. If you use that coupon code, it is legit, and you get a discount on the Virtual Mate. So, and I get a kickback from that as well, just to disclose everything. Right, and my website's there if you want to check it out. Let's get back to the viewer shit. All right, let's finish giving a shout out to the viewers. So yeah, we got Drumslav Chekisenko. That's a really cool last name. I like that one. All right, so Andreas, I'm saying it wrong, but I'm trying. Andreas Yengvinson. So thanks again. Yeah, a lot of people are calling Tommy a piece of shit, and I don't blame them because a lot of people did lose a lot of money when it comes to the investments. Like I even tried to invest. I even bought the games. So yeah, I feel you. Feel your pain. Just try to remember, Tommy, I do not believe for a minute that he actually tried to scam people. I legitimately believe that he tried his best. He just juggled too many projects at the same time, which he's actually had a history of. And yeah, when you try to do too much, sometimes it gets the better of people, right? So try to remember, Tommy really did try the best he tried. Hopefully some way he can still pull this off, but man, it's not looking good. If anyone wants to help out with the crowdfunding, I'm almost thinking Tommy should really set up an account for crowdfunding just for him. So people don't really care about the Amico, but they want to help Tommy. Because I'm really thinking at this point, Tommy could use extra help. So I don't know if maybe somebody wants to talk to Tommy about that, set up a crowdfunding just for him. Because I feel bad about not giving more money to Tommy. I really just don't want to reinforce the idea that Amico is a good idea. Like I don't want to keep pumping money into something that I think is a disaster. So I'd much rather just give money to Tommy rather than to Amico. So I don't know. I know like Tommy's probably getting mounting medical bills with him and his dad, so it's like, yeah. If anyone wants to help out Tommy, I guess the best way right now is the Amico stuff, but damn, if anyone can find a way to help Tommy directly, let me know and I'll link it in the chat. All right, so yeah, let's give a big round of applause. Oh yeah, Mystery Guy. Give a big shout out to him too. Yeah, who knows? Maybe Tommy's cousin, Steven Tyler, is going to come to the rescue and fucking save everyone with like some sort of huge donation, but I don't know. It's not looking too good right now. So anyways, yeah, let's summarize what happened with the crowdfunding. What is it at now? How many hours are left? I think I still got it open here. That's what she said. No, that's not it. Now, I think last time we checked it, it was at around 40,000. And it looks like I did close it. So I'm pretty sure it's still at 40,000. Son of a whore. The one thing I did close was the only thing we needed. So anyways, yeah, shout out to Arc Technica or whatever they're called. Thanks for the article, letting us review it. And if they want it taken down, or if Guido is pissed about his review, just remember, Guido, we can't pick on him too much. I think everyone goes through different phases of political values throughout their life. I know I've been super left-wing, not very right-wing, but more centrist, but even NDP. So I've gone through different political phases through my life as well. So we can't really hold it against anyone to go through different phases in their own lives. It's like, who knows, maybe next year Guido will be the biggest Trump supporter yet. You never know, right? Stranger things have happened. All right, so let's wrap up the show. I think that was unlikely what I just said, but let's go to the fire screen. Fire! Right, if you happen to get any Amico RFID cards in your vaporizer and they taste like shit, give the show a dislike. But if it doesn't happen, you can give the show a like. Really appreciate it. And just make sure never buy the products from my sponsor.
Because it will ruin your life. Bye for now, everyone.
See you later. Take care. Good luck. Yeah, and try to remember, this video game, this Amico, win or lose, make money, lose money, we're all just human beings trying to enjoy our lives on this planet. Let's remember that, right? It comes down to that. We got our health, our family, and if we don't, we got to try to focus on ways we can improve our lives. And yeah, you can't always dwell on disasters, and hopefully everyone makes through all the hard times they're facing. I know with my uncle in the hospital right now, we're going through a lot of hard times with my family and myself, so I can definitely relate to that. So yeah, I'm praying for everyone, and let's hope we have a good week, and yeah, let's hope Intellivision has some luck and they can pull off a miracle, and that we can see Amico back. And if we can't, maybe they can pull off another miracle and get a last-minute retro console released. I don't even know if legally if they can even do that, but dear God, man, if they could pull off a retro U-turn right at the last minute, save the company, oh fuck, man, I'd be so happy. But anyways, let's wrap it up. See you later. Bye for now, everyone. Oh yeah, and shout out to Darius, No Swear Gamer, Pat and Ian, the NES Punk, Rich Review Tech, everyone else covering the Amico. Oh, Saggy Melon. Just don't look up that one on Google. You might get some funny results. Alright, see you later. Not that I did. Alright, bye for now. Later. See ya. And to clarify, Amico's not bankrupt yet. Just doesn't look good. Alright, see you everyone. Bye for now. Oh yeah, if anyone wants to talk Amico in the future, just let me know in the chat. We'll do a stream.